A watch, a rangefinder, or a handheld GPS? Which is the best to use out on course? It's an age-old question that we're going to try to tackle here today on Let's Play Through. Now, like most things, it depends on your style of play, where you play, and my goal will be to show you in which scenarios they work best so you can make a confident decision. And by the end of this video, I'll let you know what I would choose if I only had one choice to make. Now, everything we cover today is available over at the internet's #1 golf retailer, playbetter.com. They're the home of the best pricing on the internet. They offer free 48-hour shipping across the continental United States. They've got a no-hassle money-back guarantee. If you don't love it, you can exchange it or even just get your money back from Play Better. It's a family-owned business, great people, and on top of it, they offer the Let's Play Through audience special discounts. So anytime you're checking out over at playbetter.com, pop in the code LPT, and you'll likely save from 5 to 10% on your purchase, and maybe get some goodies as well. So let's start off today with the most important question for the majority of people. That is going to be accuracy. And if accuracy to the flagstick is a premium for you, you can't do better than a rangefinder. In fact, I would rank the devices in terms of accuracy of measurement as follows. #1 being a rangefinder, and then tied for the second spot would be the watches and handhelds. But there is one caveat we're going to discuss. So even the cheapest rangefinders I used are generally accurate to within plus or minus 1 yard. There's only one exception I can remember after 6 years of testing equipment on this show. In addition, a rangefinder, even the basic ones these days, like the Pro L2 from ShotScope, will adjust for slope. And slope, of course, is going to be the adjustment made depending on the elevation of the hole. So if you have an uphill or a downhill hole, that will affect the plays-like distance for every shot. These days, rangefinders like the Caddy Top Cube and the Bushnell Pro X3, which are two of my personal favorites, will even adjust for environmental conditions like altitude, wind, barometric pressure, and more. This is truly next level stuff. Now, watches, on the other hand, use a satellite in order to lock onto a GPS and provide a measurement, and they're generally going to be accurate up to 3 yards. Now, some of the better brands like Garmin I found to be closer to 1 yard deviation most times, but it's definitely not going to be quite as accurate as a rangefinder out on course. Handhelds will be the same as watches, generally accurate to plus or minus 3 yards, and better devices will do better than that in most cases. Now, where things get much more interesting is when you're measuring things other than the flagstick out on the course. For instance, distance to the water, to a bunker, or to other objects on the course are actually much more accurate with watches and handhelds because you can literally tap on the map to where you want to go and see exactly how far that is. On the other hand, a rangefinder, you might try to hit the shoreline, but you could be as much as 5 or 10 yards off. So if you have your distances completely dialed in and distance to the pin is your priority, a rangefinder could be the right choice. But if you're looking to get distances to other objects on the course, a watch or handheld will do a better job in most cases. Now, if access to next level features is an important factor to you, that's what we're going to cover next. If I was to rank them in terms of feature sets, I would rank up at the top watches. These are the Swiss Army knives of devices. They can do so much both on and off course. #2 would be handhelds. They can be surprisingly feature rich. And then thirdly, rangefinders. So let's start off here with watches. Most watches will give you slope adjusted distances. You'll get distances to all the hazards on the course, and you'll be able to keep score on them, which is a nice bonus. And with them right on your wrist, you can get some extra stuff like shot tracking. Both ShotScope and Garmin do this exceptionally well. ShotScope provides deeper, more useful stats than Garmin in my opinion, but Garmin on the other hand provides more features that you can use off course, things like fitness tracking, sleep tracking, stress levels, and more, which makes them truly incredible tools off the course as well. Now, if you're looking for the ultimate golf watch, my pick is the Garmin S50 and S70, which will give you a virtual caddy that helps you make the right club selection for any given shot on the course. Like I said, watches literally do it all. Now, handhelds can do a lot as well, though. My favorite device is going to be the Garmin G80, which is not only a GPS device, but it also provides a basic but accurate launch monitor. I use it to measure shots out on the golf course, and it can be a golf simulator too. So it won't do anything off course, but it's pretty amazing on the range and during a round. Other favorites of mine are the G20 from Garmin and the SkyCaddy Pro 5X. Both rock solid handheld devices. Now, rangefinders are distance machines, so they're built first and foremost for that task. But if you step up into the high end, you can start to get some really cool features. And we saw a number of these roll out in 2025. Bluetooth connected rangefinders like the Bushnell Pro X3 Plus Link will actually give you club selections in your viewfinder. But in order to do that, you will need to pair it to your phone. It's just something to consider. Now, our next category is going to be form factor. Now, this is so subjective that I'm not going to rank them, but instead, I'm going to give you some insights here into what each does well and where they miss. Let's start off here with watches. The pros of watches for me are that most of them are light, they're easily transportable, and they're not going to get left behind. If we talk about the cons with watches, I think some people just don't like them, or they feel that it's going to obstruct their swing. They also need to be worn on the leading wrist, so it might not be comfortable for some people. The second big con to me is that they'll also need to be charged more often than others. Likely, you're going to get about 2 to 3 rounds out of a golf smartwatch, whereas you're going to get multiple rounds out of a handheld and maybe a full season out of a rangefinder. And speaking of rangefinder, let's move on to those pros. If you're more of a tactile, hands-on person, a rangefinder might be the best choice for you. It's easy to work. You simply hold it up to your eye and press a button. Another pro is that it can be stored in a variety of places. It's super versatile, including your pocket, the bag, or even on your cart. Most have magnets now. Again, even the cheapest rangefinders do that. Now, the cons for a rangefinder also have to do with that magnet. For me, that magnet makes them very easy to leave behind. Over the years here on the show, I've shared some tips and tricks so you never have to leave your rangefinder behind. And in fact, I will leave a link to that video right here for you. Let's move on to handhelds. For me, a massive pro for the handheld is that it's the easiest to just simply set it and forget it. If you don't want to touch anything at all and you just want to play golf, it doesn't get any easier than this. While the name implies you'll have it in your hand, in practice, you'll probably just keep it on your cart. The Garmin G20, for instance, comes with a magnet which you can just pop on and forget about it. Again, don't leave it behind, but you can also just throw it in your pocket and pull it out when needed as well. Another pro for the handhelds, as we talked about before, is that the battery generally just lasts much longer than a watch. I get well over 5 rounds out of my Garmin G80, and the G20 will literally never run out or need to be recharged as long as you use it regularly, since it has a solar panel on board. Another pro for a handheld is going to be that big screen. It's going to be considerably bigger than a watch. And if you struggle with your eyesight, or maybe you tend to fat finger a watch, meaning you press the wrong button, you'll do a lot better, I think, with a handheld. The cons when it comes to a handheld is, again, it can be left behind, and that bigger screen real estate, which is really nice, also offers the potential to be dropped or cracked. All right, let's move on to the budget section, because this could be a make or break for a lot of people. Now, all of these devices are available in a wide range of price points, but in general, if I was ranking them from least expensive to most expensive, I would say rangefinder would be the least expensive, followed by watches, and then the most expensive on average is going to be the handhelds. For around $100, you can get a very capable basic rangefinder. As I mentioned, brands like ShotScope do the basics really well at an affordable price. For about $200, you can get a very capable golf watch. Things like the Bushnell Ion Elite come to mind. Again, ShotScope's got a great range of affordable golf watches, and even Garmin has some affordable options out there. Things like the S44, I think, are priced around $299, but maybe you can catch it on a sale. And the most expensive are going to be those handhelds like I mentioned. It's going to be about $400 in that price range to get a very capable handheld. So you're definitely going to spend a little bit more money with one of those. So for me, those are the 4 main categories that really are the decision makers, and hopefully in those 4 categories, you sort of self-selected what is the most important feature set or even just budget range for you. If there's anything I missed, I would love to know down in the comments, so please let me know. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, what about a smartphone app or even a watch like an Apple Watch or a Samsung Galaxy? For me, there are 3 reasons why I prefer a dedicated golf device. Everyone's different, but these are my 3 main reasons. The first reason for me is going to be battery life. Most Apple Watches, which I have a lot of experience with, are only going to last 1 day on a charge, especially if you play golf with them. I personally don't love having to charge my devices all the time. I'd love to at least get a few rounds out of them, so it's a big drawback in my opinion. The same thing, of course, goes for a phone. Now, the second reason I'm not a fan necessarily of just using a phone app or a smartwatch is the fact that you've got bouncing GPS much more often on those devices. The devices that I mentioned here on today's episode are extremely accurate, as we said, up to about 3 yards and often better. Whereas when you're out on course, a lot of times with a phone app or with a watch, you'll see a certain distance, you take one step and all of a sudden it's changed 5 yards or maybe more. So it just does not read the GPS as well from the satellites, in my opinion, out on golf courses. Another reason is because it's a lot of times dependent on the cell service you have. The third reason for me is just simply less distractions. If I've got my phone or if I've got my smartwatch, there's a much higher likelihood of me getting a text message, an email, something that pops in that is going to take my attention away from the golf course. I don't like distractions when I'm golfing. I like to have fun. I like to be with my friends. I like to play the best golf that I can play, and I can only do that if I'm fully committed and fully focused. So those are my 3 reasons why I just personally don't like them. Of course, other people do, and it's your prerogative. I said up front that I was going to tell you what I would choose if I could only choose one. If I could only have a watch, a rangefinder, or a handheld, what would it be? I'll tell you this, when I do go traveling, I prefer a watch, especially on courses I don't know, because there's so many different features. Me being from Florida, I'm used to flat golf, and you're gonna have a lot more elevation and other things going on. A watch for me is just super handy, easy to travel with. I can use it on and off the course, as we mentioned. When I'm at my home course, I am generally opting for my rangefinder because I know the course inside and out for the most part. I've been playing it for the better part of a decade. And on top of that, I have really dialed in my distances, so a yard or 2 does make a big difference to me. Now that said, if I'm in a cart, and especially when I'm doing my reviews, I'm using a handheld all the time, especially that Garmin G80. You see it in all the reviews that we do out on course. So I love all 3, but if you're gonna put a gun to my head, what am I gonna choose? For me, it's going to be a rangefinder. It's easy to use, it's quick. Like I said, they're really on the affordable range, and they're getting more feature-packed every single day. So that's my choice. If I could just have one, it's gonna be a rangefinder. How about you? Again, leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you're most comfortable using out on course. Again, hopefully this video opened your eyes to some other possibilities that maybe you weren't aware of. That's always the goal here on the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe, and I'll catch you back here next time on another edition of Let's Play Through.